Yo, what's up, nerds? PaulMConti here, along with Dakka Dez.
Hey,
We are talking about the Hammerstrike Force Battalion out of the Stormcast Eternals tonight. And oh, what a fucking bullshit battalion this is. I needed to bring another person on here just to lift the mountains of bullshit that this is. And yeah, so before we get started, Dez, you want to pimp out your channel and Twitter and whatever other stuff you have going on?
it's just Dakka Dez on YouTube. Just, I don't know, we'll put a link down there later on. I'll be talking a lot about Shadespire. I can't wait to dig into Shadespire, so.
Yeah, did you see I threw up a review of the Shadespire Stormcast dudes already?
Yeah, I did see that. I didn't look at it yet, but I saw it was up there.
Yeah, they are more powerful than they look like.
Into it.
Yeah, like they're definitely like if you have a spare 100 points in a Stormcast list, you definitely jam those guys.
Yeah, I was looking at it. They seem like under a lot. They seem situational, but it seems like every situation is going to happen.
You know what I mean? Exactly.
Situation, but that's going to happen. They're going to get charged. They're going to charge. All this is going to happen. But I guess it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's like they get like reroll buffs if they're against like a unit with or like a model with 5 or more wounds, or they get reroll buffs if they're against a unit with 5 or more models.
Yep.
Like no matter what they do, like they're winning. They're just winning all the time.
Lots of bonuses to hit. The only real, I'm doing this off the top of my head. The only real thing that goes against him is severing the sword is a 4+ to wound. There's really not anything you can do about it. But he will slap people with that sword if he wounds. 2 damage each.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Oberyn's 3 damage each. So and he gets all the buffs to hit, he could potentially be hitting on a 2+, wounding on 3s, and dealing 3 damage each time. I think he gets 2 or 3 attacks. So if you can buff the attacks up more, get him more attacks, a nasty little 100-point unit that popped on the table. I don't know. It seems fun.
Yeah. The only downside that I noticed is that I flipped through the Stormcast book, and all of the battalions that include Liberators they're not like keyword bolded, so you can't slip them into battalions as Liberators. Which is kind of bullshit. I don't like that. I hope they like errata or FAQ that and fix that up and make that not be fucking stupid, because that needs to be. They need to be awesome, and they need to have excuses to get played. And if they don't,
100% agree.
like they're not battle line either, which is bullshit. Like they should just be like optional battle line, sure. Like, or conditional battle line, like, okay, like Vandus has to be your general and they can be battle line, like something stupid like that.
I would like them even to be heroes, because they're pretty nice. If they count it as one hero, you could drop them on an objective in I can't think of the name of the mission, Deadly Encounter or whatever it is. Where you have to have a hero.
Knife to the heart, I think it is.
What's up?
Knife to the heart, I think it is.
It's one of those. I forget already. We've played very few games of it so far. I thought of it earlier. But anyway, the mission where you have to have your heroes or behemoths on objectives, I think they'd be pretty fun to drop on there if they had that keyword.
Yeah. So they're like a little bundle of disappointment, but also a little bundle of like hatred as well. So like they're just kind of fucking awesome. And the models are sweet, and I just kind of want to have them to own the models. Anyway, we were talking about like Hammer Bros and stuff.
That's right. MC Hammer.
Yeah. And you are so far, as far as I know, like the king of the Hammer Bros, because you actually took down a tournament with a Hammer Bros list. And I've got that in here. We're going to actually go through that in detail. But before we get there, I want to like actually go through my usual nonsense of the usual PowerPoint presentation and talk about what the stupid battalion actually does and all the dumb loopholes that GW created because they don't know how to write rules correctly. And so I'm going to screen share. Whee! And infinite stuff and lock it on me. And we're going to minimize this and that. We're going to go over here and start the slideshow. All right, are you seeing my screen?
I am.
All right, we're locked on me.
Infinitely.
All right, so we're locked on me. We're good to go?
Yep.
All right, you know what? It's hammer time.
I'll drink to that.
All right, so Hammerstrike Force. Like stupidly easy requirements, right? Like 2 units of paladins and a unit of prosecutors. And obviously those paladins are definitely going to be retributors like every freaking time.
Yeah. I can see a trick. It would be kind of, if you're playing really defensively, protectors might be nice to throw out there across the whole board. Depends on how you're set up in the backfield. Like if you had a lot of shooting going on, might be fun. But yeah, I'd say retributors all the time.
Yeah, especially if you're using this for like the abusive alpha strike purposes.
Yeah, that's why you're taking this.
Yeah. You know, I definitely think I put Mr. MC Hammer on a little bit too loud, but I think it's just too late to fix that right now.
That's fine.
I'm just gonna roll with it. We can just talk loud and yeah. So 2 paladins and a unit of prosecutors. So 2 abilities that this stupid thing has. Your paladins deploy to the celestial realm. They can drop anywhere within 6 inches of your prosecutors in the movement phase. And if the prosecutors die, they can set up anywhere more than 9 inches away from the enemy. Important note, like that 9-inch rule only applies if the prosecutors are dead. So
very important. No.
Yeah, you can just put them fucking anywhere if the prosecutors are alive, which is awesome. As long as you start the daisy chain within 6 inches of prosecutors, which, you know, like fly 12, which is pretty sweet. And then the Celestial Supercharge. Like, did you even pay attention to this, by the way, that they get the Celestial Supercharge?
Yep, I used it. Yep.
Yeah, so, like, while they're within 6 inches of the prosecutors, they get +1 to wound. I think your goal is to not have to roll as many wounds as possible. Yeah, like just like roll mortal wounds to hit with your retributors and be done with it. So stupid loopholes. As I said, like you can set up your like within 6 inches of your prosecutors. Doesn't have to be wholly within 6 inches of the prosecutors. So same deal as the Vanguard wing. They can just daisy chain out across the battlefield, get right in your opponent's face, get into close combat without charging.
And that was an important note as to how it all works. And I made sure that to each one of my opponents, I explained how this worked at least twice,
right?
And told them exactly what was going to happen and warned them before they deployed a thing that I was going to do this and to watch how they deploy.
Yeah.
Did or not, I warned them twice.
Yeah. I mean, I genuinely, I did the same thing with Vanguard Wing. I explained it to everybody just so that they knew what was up before I just was like a total douche to them. Because, it was a small local tournament, like not a lot of really serious hardcore players. So you don't want to be a total dick to people, you know?
There were some good lists there, though.
There were some
good lists. There's definitely some challenge there. But
yeah,
right, some of them weren't.
Yep. But yeah, the Celestial Supercharge really doesn't do anything other than buff your attacks that don't automatically mortal wound off your retributors. So you're wounding on 2s, which is still pretty sweet. That makes them pretty close to like mortal wounds at that point. Oh, and don't worry, MC Hammer is on continuous loop if it's actually working correctly.
Can't touch this.
Yeah, there it is. Not taking this shit seriously at all. So, weaknesses of this battalion. There's no battle line units in the battalion. So you're kind of like left to fend for yourself and fill in the holes. Like, to make this battalion really robust takes a lot of points, and 0 of that counts as battle line.
One of the pluses to this battalion is you do not need judicators like I think every other battalion in the book. And I didn't have any judicators, so I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to roll with a Hammerstrike.
Right? Yeah. The Judicators performed better than I thought they would. Like, I was surprised by the Judicators. I dig them. I think I'm going to have to do a video on them at some point.
Yeah, they look pretty good.
Yeah. So really, like, abusing the battalion, you'd have to have the prosecutors be alive, which means you either need to protect them somehow, or you need to be, like, you know, get top of turn 1. So,
and that's what I did a lot of. And usually the prosecutors would die. That's fine. I didn't care.
Yeah.
I did what I had to do, and I killed more of their stuff than they did of mine sometimes.
Sometimes. Although you did end the tournament with a net negative kill point differential.
Yeah, I did. I killed less stuff than everybody else, but I think it was because I went for objectives. I lured people into charges that were off of objectives. I used a lot of tricks to get people off of objectives that were more kind of having a familiarity with the rules rather than anything else.
Yeah. And, you know, you're, at least on the first turn that your Retributors come down, they're coming down out of the Celestial Realm in movement phase, so anything that would buff them during the hero phase, like, they can't get on that first turn. So, like, your blessed weapons, your Lord Castellan buff, those sorts of things don't apply. Thankfully, the Lord Celestant, his +1 to hit still applies. The Staunch Defender still applies. So there's some things that you'll still be able to get, but some stuff that you get screwed out of because you're dropping in the movement phase.
And that's it from being, like, abusive, whereas if you could have put those buffs on it, it would have been table flipping rage.
Yes. Like, if you do the math on, like, getting off 2 blessed weapons.
Oh, God. It's terrible.
Yeah, 2 blessed weapons plus, like, Lord Celestant and a Lord Castellan with Staunch Defender on a unit of 10 Retributors is, like, I think they do something like an average of, like, 20-something mortal wounds a turn for a unit of 5.
Yeah, I was getting an average of about 42 mortal wounds with units of 10.
Yeah, like, it's just bonkers. Like, it's like, it's just so abusive.
Yep.
So abusive. I mean, the downside is, like, all of those paladins are really freaking expensive. Like, the cheap ones are 200 for a unit of 5. The good ones, the Retributors, are 220 for a unit of 5. So you have to take at least 2 units, and you're really incentivized to take units of 10, I think, to really get the maximum out of this battalion, which means you got 880 points of Retributors on the board.
Yeah, that's what I had. But they're kind of tough, which is nice. So they have a 4+ save, which is okay. 3 wounds each, which I forgot about in my first game.
Yeah, way to go.
Like, where'd they all go? Oh, yeah, I didn't read the war scroll. There I am. Yeah. But they've got a pretty good amount of resilience. But your opponent is going to focus them down, and they have no choice because you've deployed them all right into combat.
Yeah. And I think like the downside, like the Celestial Supercharge, like the one like combat buff that you're getting out of your battalion, like isn't really like, it doesn't combo well with the abusiveness of what you want to do.
It doesn't give you extra. You'd rather have the bonus to hit than the bonus to wound with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Or rerolls or extra defense or something.
Yeah, so it's not that it doesn't. I mean, it's basically there so you can drop retributors in the people's face and they can't go anywhere and they are going to get hammer smashed. Hard.
Right. Exactly. So I think we need a little dance break here. And, you know, I think we just need to, we've already established your cred as, you know, you took down a local tournament with this list.
So you have MC Hammer Street cred? Is that what you're saying?
We need to increase your street cred with this. So I just have this to present to the audience.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, he not only is he a master Warhammer player, he also has a license to rap. So, yeah, never forget anything you ever send me via text message, Facebook, whatever. It gets kept forever, and it will be used against you in the future.
That's right. It's not rocket surgery.
Not at all. All right, so here's the list that you brought to the event, which started off all of this MC Hammer nonsense that's going on right now. So I'll just let you like go on about the list a little bit and talk about how, like, what your choices were, why you picked what you did, and how you actually played it out.
I went through like a million iterations of this, trying to figure out the right list. And I think I was smart in making it a Hammers of Sigmar list. I think the one thing that could have really turned the power level up is having Vandus Hammerhand in the list instead of all the Relictors, even though it was fun. The Relictors were really good utility, but I could have actually maybe used the extra attacks to really just obliterate things on the first turn. Like, for instance, in my third game, I played Beast Claw Raiders. If I had that extra attack, there would not have been any beasts left. It would have just been gone instead of them rolling over me. But the Lord Celestin...
Instead of you getting a major victory and still getting tabled anyway somehow.
Yeah. The Lord Celestin, I think that's a basic build. Everybody is using that one. Staunch Defender, I don't know. I just threw it in there. I figured if the Paladins lasted past their Alpha Strike, they'd be sitting around and they could use that extra defense. Mirror Shield helps a little bit so the Lord Celestin doesn't get picked off. It's -1 to hit shooting. Staunch Defender adds +1 to saves. Of course, I flipped out of it. Yeah, Staunch Defender.
Yeah, the Mirror Shield is -2 to hit in the shooting phase.
Oh, I thought it was -1. Either way.
Another rule you fucked up. Way to go.
Yep.
Man, too bad that cost you the tournament. Jesus.
Yeah, no, yeah, it didn't matter, did it?
Yeah.
Yeah, this track too. I did mess that up. My Celestin pretty much lived every time too. Yeah, there's lots of rules I got wrong, and I was still able to like walk away. I have no idea how I did that. I'm forgetting these rules, so it must be very abusive. The Lord Relictor, Seed of Rebirth. So the reason these Relictors were cool, I took 2 blessed weapons, so I could hopefully stack them on Relictors, or I could stack them on Retributors, or I could, depending on the mission, I could put them with Liberators and buff them up. And
Yeah, still good with
Liberators. So I could have more deployment shenanigans. I can move things around the board really fast depending on where I needed them.
Right.
Which was really nice. The other nice thing is that you can double up on these spells.
Yep.
double up on the priestly blessings or whatever they're called. So it was nice. I didn't really have to heal anything, but in the mission where you launch your heroes in the middle of the action, they could heal themselves or others up, which actually did help my Lord Celestin out because he was in trouble at one point, and they healed him back up again. And conversely, they could use their damage prayer to nuke other heroes off the board, and that really worked out nice. It was a nice, easy arcane bolt I could pull off. The Knight Heralder was a lot of fun. He was another movement shenanigan because his ability, and I'll just give it to you in a nutshell, he could use his ability on a unit to make them run and then be able to charge afterwards. So that could give you a fair amount of movement shenanigans with depending on shooting you. It didn't matter. The other thing was he was giving units mortal wounds by doing his trumpet blast at them. So what you do is you choose a piece of terrain within 15 inches of them, and then you roll a die. Every unit within that many inches of the piece of terrain takes D3 mortal wounds. That was a lot of fun to hurt heroes and things like that.
Yeah, and this tournament was definitely some pretty terrain-heavy boards. So
yeah, so it was easy to pull that one off. He survived every game too, except for the last one.
Yep.
Prosecutors, I had to take with javelins because they do a little bit better shooting damage and they have reroll armor saves of 1. So I gave them a little more durability. 10 retributors, they come down with the hammers and they just mash things into mashed potatoes. Very fun. I took my 3 minimum 5 unit to liberators, and I had a few extra points, so I threw a Gryph-hound in there. So really, the crux of the unit, the list was using the Hammerstrike force, getting those retributors right into people's faces so they couldn't move first turn, and then moving the liberators and the Gryph-hound around to get all of the objectives.
Yep.
And that's what I did every game, and that is what worked out for me. The other trick I tried was I deployed them all in the Celestial Realm. Every game, I don't think I would start with a model on the board. I would just deploy everything into the Celestial Realm, and that really worked out. The first thing I would roll for would be the prosecutors, because once they're down, they can bring the retributors and everything else. My first game, I had failed it twice in a row, which was fine because I just put some liberators. I had terrible rolls. I put some liberators on an objective, 2 objectives, and they just sat there and nothing happened to them. Then the retributors came down and murdered Nagash. Very fun.
Oh, so you just like ganked Nagash with retributors?
Yep.
That is awesome. Was it just like 1 round of combat, Nagash dead?
It was my turn, then the next turn just to take the extra couple wounds off. He's pretty tough. He's got like 16 wounds, I think a 3+ regular save, and a 4+ against mortal wounds. He really and this is one of those cases where if I had that +1 attack, I would have won.
Yeah. Like, I wanted Nagash so bad. I just didn't get paired with the Death player.
Yep.
Wanted to take that down so bad.
I was super excited when I pulled that, first round of the game. Natasha's very nice. She had a wonderfully painted Nagash, which makes it more fun to kill, right? You want to kill the beautifully. Look at how cool that is. I need to go fight it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to go. You have to go destroy something beautiful. It's what you have to do.
Yes, I think that's human nature.
It is. It's also an excellent quote from Fight Club.
What's that?
It's also an excellent quote from Fight Club.
That's right. Yeah, he was sitting on an objective, so I just went for it. I used some tricks where I piled in to make sure that I was on the objective and he wasn't. I had my retributors there, and I actually snaked them, so I got Nagash and a unit of zombies and a unit of skeletons. So I had 3 units tied in combat that couldn't go anywhere unless they wanted to use a retreat.
Yeah.
So I had them all locked down, so they couldn't really get to my objectives. She had a huge unit of zombies that charged into some liberators on the other side of the board. I had them set up so that there's 2 units on the objective. One was far up and blocking around so that she couldn't move around them. And I had another unit behind them so I could counter charge and still have the objective. They're all within the objective. So I didn't really give her a choice to charge both units, you know what I mean? So I had that objective pretty much blocked off. So she couldn't get that big horde in there and claim it by having 20 models.
Right.
It's one of those, if you have 20 or more models on the objective, you get it. So I was trying to separate her army like surgically with my liberator so she couldn't hop on that objective the way I placed them. The other fun thing that happened in that game was Neferata. I had a unit of liberators and a Gryph-hound on another objective. And Neferata got over there and just slapped the liberators off the board. And she was close enough that I could just pile the Gryph-hound in. So I piled the Gryph-hound in at the end of her turn and did some damage. Like, it did a couple wounds. And then the next round of combat, we had all these like crucial combats all over the place. And I said, I'm going with the Gryph-hound. And she just looked at me like I made a joke. And I was like, I'm going with the Gryph-hound. I did my attacks. Then I used the Gryph-hound special rule where after it makes its attacks, it can roll a d6 and go that many inches out of combat. And I rolled a 4. So Neferata and the Gryph-hound were the only one that the objective. I moved the Gryph-hound 4 inches away. So that means that objective was tied and I was denying her points.
So you actually got your Gryph-hound to make an effective play in that game.
Super effective play, yep.
See, that was going to be one of my questions for you was, did your Gryph-hound do work for you?
Yeah, in that one game, it was worth it. In the other games, I don't know if it did anything besides me forget about it parked somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, mine just hung out with my Castellan the whole time. And there was some ability that Beastclaw has on the Stonehorn with like a bird or something, where you get to like choose, like your opponent chooses one. Yeah. So I just like kept picking my Gryph-hound and it kept hitting my Gryph-hound. So that was about all the value I extracted out of my Gryph-hound that tournament.
Yeah, I really loved that. I think you're going to see that pop up in my Caradron Overlords. If I do a foot heavy list, I think you'll see Gryph-hounds to hang out there and help out. Just in case somebody tries to bring an abusive sort of list that drops out of the ether and gets me combat immediately, there'll be some Gryph-hounds to shoot a little bit of them off the board.
Yeah, I think in the future, you know, after looking at what the Triumph table actually looks like,
it looks good.
It looks really good when you're playing a list like this or like Vanguard Wing. So, I mean, I feel like intentionally going 40 points down so that you're almost locking that you're going to get a Triumph, right? So I feel like that's worth it. I feel like that's worth more than the Gryph-hound.
Yeah, I think you might be right too, especially with that Alpha Strike. So you're hopefully not missing much, or you're getting those extra 6s. That'll do the 2 more wounds that'll really, really do work.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got our next local tournament is a 1,500 point event. And I'm going to be basically running the same list and just shaving it down to 1,500, taking out the Mega Battalion and the extra unit of prosecutors that comes along with it. And then you need 1 less battle line, so I'm going to take a unit of adjudicators out. So that's like exactly 500 points. And I decided I'm also going to drop the Gryph-hound. So I'm 1 less drop, and I'm going to get a Triumph most of the time.
No, that's pretty good. Yeah. I like the Gryph-hound. It did good in that case. I don't think I specified. When I rolled out of combat, I rolled a 4. So that means Neferata couldn't pile into her or charge the Gryph-hound. So she was pretty safe outside of the 3 inches. The Gryph-hound was, situational, and it was the extra 40 points. But looking at the Triumphs again today, I think it's worth the Triumphs. Kharadron Overlords, I think it's worth it to take 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, if you're in a really super shooty heavy list, it's very effective at keeping your opponent further away from you.
Yep.
Even if it's like 1 extra inch, like that 1 extra inch matters.
Yep.
Like as far as like a charge distance, that significantly changes the math.
Yep. It was so good just to be able to just drop down into combat. All right, I'm in your deployment zone. We're in combat. I'm keeping you from moving on to my objectives. And I've not only placed all of my models into combat with you, but I've placed them so that I have more objectives than you do. That was like, that was my plan each game. And that seems to really to work out that way. I have to take something back. I did try to deploy them in the Celestial Realm each game, except for the second game. I didn't do that. And it actually turned out to be a big mistake. I should have placed the Liberators and all my heroes in the Celestial Realm, because I took a gamble on getting my run moves and getting up on those objectives, and they just couldn't do it. They couldn't go far enough. I think I would have been better off rolling that 3 to drop them out of the Celestial Realm and block off those objectives. Game 2 was against a Tzeentch list with Slaanesh allies, and it was a really good list. It was really brutal. It was against Will. He's a newer player, but he really knew his stuff. He had a great list, and he gave me a great fight. If it had gone on, I don't know. I think I would have figured something out to get the game either way, even though the time ran out. We did not get far into that game.
Yeah,
I was giving him some hints. Like when I play, I love to give people hints while I'm playing. Like, I've locked you in combat. Your Lord of Change is locked in combat with all my Retributors. You can flee. And he's like, oh, I have nowhere to go backwards. I'm like, who said you have to go backwards? You can fly right over my Retributors and onto my objective right now. He's like,
right.
I gave him a little, tactical insight there that I think he really was like, whoa. I gave somebody a little knowledge, which was cool.
Yeah. That's, everybody thinks of retreating as a thing you do backwards.
Yeah.
And if your units fly, they usually have a large movement value. So
Yep.
they can retreat by just going up and over whatever unit they're locked in combat with.
Yep.
Like, I used to do that with Pegasus Knights all the time. And be able to be like, wait, what? You're doing what now? Like,
Yeah.
So,
I love giving people like, you see what I'm gonna do here? I'm gonna do this trick. So next time you see somebody trying to do that trick, you know how to get around it, or maybe you put that into your toolbox of tricks. So I don't know. And I always try to tell people. I ask people ahead of time, like, we're gonna play our game. I would love to give you advice while we're playing, because I've played enough of this to hopefully help you out. And people are usually, I haven't met anybody that wasn't like, no, shut up, you dick. Everybody's been like, yeah, pretty open to it. But
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's definitely like one of the definitely positive things that I've always seen out of the Warhammer community is that it's like everybody seems super friendly and wants to learn to play better. A lot of people are more on the hobby side, so like the gamey aspect of it might not be like the thing for them. So giving them like little gamer tips along the way, like really enlightens some people and changes their view and, gives them the ability to play better in the future.
And that's a part I love. I love more challenge in the future. Love it.
Yeah. I mean, I want everybody, like, I would love to see this game just like keep getting elevated and have, tournaments be more and more competitive.
Yep.
I think that's, I've got a video that I've been sort of working on in my head about like the current metagame and why the metagame has not shook out to the place that I think it actually should be in. And part of it's math, and part of it is the sheer number of players in Warhammer that just don't really take the game that seriously as a game.
Yeah. And I think it's funny because I think in our area we have tons of stores and tons of players, but still don't have that unity that the UK scene seems to have,
or even the Midwest.
Yeah, the Midwest has a great. I think where everybody has their store, and that's where they're at. I'd love to see that.
Yep.
I mean, I think supporting the local stores is great, and we should all be doing it. But I think we should all be supporting each local store in the area.
Yeah. Try to get every local store to have successful events.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what would you have changed about this list in retrospect?
In retrospect, the thing I would have changed, I think I mentioned it earlier, is I would have made it Hammers of Sigmar, and I would have taken Vandus because he has a 24-inch. He comes in a Dracoth. He's pretty beefy. As far as he's pretty tough. And he has a command ability that's another bubble effect that gives everybody within 9 inches, I believe it is, from Hammer of Sigmar, +1 attack. He's also got a straight up ability that makes all units within 24 inches immune to battle shock.
Yep.
So that is pretty big. I lost a few Retributors to battle shock. I didn't really, it didn't really bother me too much. But it would have been nice to have them stick around and drop the hammers a little bit more, especially with that +1 attack. So I think Vandus is huge for the list. He's got great mobility, so he could be wherever you're going to drop them. He could pretty much show up to be at. Or you can set up your drop so that he's nearby to give him that immunity to battle shock as well as the +1 attack. That's going to really help Alpha Strike.
So what would you cut out of the list to get Vandus in?
All the Liberators. I wish I can't cut the Liberators out. The Gryph-hound would go. I'd probably cut the Heralder and the Relictors and see where I was at that point. At cutting all the Relictors, I'd be at 240. I believe he's 260. I wouldn't want to cut them all, so I'd probably cut 2 Relictors and the Knight Heralder. Let's see, 160. I don't know. I would cut the Knight Heralder and the Gryph-hound out for sure, and then probably one of the Relictors, and you got them in there.
Yeah. The Knight Heralder, I did not notice his ability to let guys run in charge.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I think that might change some math on some lists for me. Just sort of like as a side note, like I've been rolling around in my head like all the dudes on Dracoths and the Paladors, and the thing that I keep kind of saying to myself is like these guys are, they're really like super heavy good knights, but they're really bad at being knights. They don't have any charge bonuses. They really they just move 10, and that's it.
They shoot a little bit. They're awesome blockers. You're putting the Paladors in there. I think they're 5 wounds. They can be wherever you want them to be, and they're blockers. They're gonna section off parts of the board for you, which is one of the keys to playing this game. Controlling the board. Yeah,
I think combining in the Knight Heralder into a list with either concussors or fulminators could make for a really interesting actual cavalry oriented list.
Yeah, that could be really crazy. Fulminators. I love it. The concussors are so fun because they just charge in there. If they do any wounds, you can't do anything with that unit. It just sits there. Can't pile in, can't do anything.
Yeah. And concussors are basically Retributors on Dracoths.
Yep. They're pretty nasty. Remember you went to the Neo event where the concussors we're shutting us down.
Yep.
Remember that?
Yeah, I did not actually have to face off against that Stormcast list, and I was pretty happy about it. Like, I'm getting to a place now where I'm like, if you're not winning with Stormcast, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And Stormcast are probably like, I think some version of Stormcast is probably in the top 5 lists.
Yeah. I felt there was one player there that, I mean, he doesn't really play Age of Sigmar, and he was there just to have some fun, I think, and he got smashed with Stormcast, if I recall.
Yeah.
There's 3 Stormcast players.
Yeah.
Versus 0 the last tournament.
Yeah. But I mean, a 10-man tournament with 3 Stormcast players and 2 Beastclaw Raiders.
Yeah, 2 Beastclaw Raiders. It was pretty weird. And Death made an appearance in the Gash, no less. It was cool.
Yeah.
Really good, like, part of armies. And the Zinch Slanesh list I loved.
Yeah.
I thought it did, like, so it was just tricky. I liked it.
Yeah, and I had an opportunity to play against Seraphon in the last game, and I'm like, holy shit, Seraphon has the potential to be so broken. And it's just a matter of, like, the right person getting their head around that army that knows it really well, that's just going to, like, somebody's going to crack it open, and it's going to be amazing.
I have, like, I don't even know the army that well, and I've already got ideas of how you can control the movement flow and then just get the right unit in there, just cut armies apart 1 unit at a time, even.
Right.
It's pretty fun. I have 0 desire to play Lizardmen, but I don't know. I see it. My daughter loves the Lizardmen, so maybe that's what I'll end up learning about it.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a Lizardman army in the case at the portal for a long time.
Yep.
And if I get some extra cash, that thing is mine.
That, I mean, with Slawn and Razordons, you do bad things.
Yeah. And, like, just imagine, like, a horde of Temple Guard, like, just being teleported into your base.
Yep.
Like, it's just rude. It's nasty. Or teleporting, like, a bunch of Salamanders and Razordons and then summoning Skin Candlers behind them.
Yep.
Totally a thing. Totally, like, I'm surprised nobody's been all over it yet.
Yeah, I mean, maybe nobody has any Razordons besides Matt.
He's just, like, hoarding all of the Razordons in existence.
Our friend Matt has, I don't know how many. I don't even know how. He had a box that he wasn't even using. Most of my box of Razordons I just have with me. There's like 20 of them in there. I just have Razordons everywhere.
He just had this box that was like his summoning pool that was like mostly Razordons. And it's like you have more Razordons in there than you have summoning points, dude.
I think he had more Razordons than Skinks. There was a lot of them in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Killing all those skinks was fun, though.
Yeah, that was fun.
Like an X-size horde of skinks, and I just smashed the shit out of that, and that was so much fun.
Yeah, that looked like it was a fun game. Keep bouncing all over the place.
Yeah, it's a good game when what is the name of that scenario? Scorched Earth?
Scorched Earth, yeah. Yep, that was...
Yeah, like, by the end of the game, all 6 scenarios all 6 objectives had been raised. That's how you know it was a good game.
That's how I think... I don't even think my game went that way. My third game was Scorched Earth, and it was against Beastclaw Raiders, and I knew I was screwed. I knew I was screwed right from the word you're playing Beastclaw Raiders. And so what I did was... I just went for it, and I got as many of my Retributors down in near the objectives, and also wrapping up all those. I had He and now I'm forgetting all the names of them, of course. I had a Stonehorn wrapped up, and the general of the army was on the other.
Thunder Tusk?
The Thunder Tusk. And I almost murdered the Thunder Tusk. I was short one wound where Vandus would have had me kill both of them.
Yep.
But I made sure that I outnumbered him on the objectives, even though he had, his Mournfang cavalry. I think he had 4 units of 2. I still made sure that I had outnumbered him on those objectives. So I immediately burned 2 of the Scorched Earth objectives. Turn 1, I got pretty high. I think I got 5 points out of both of them. And I dropped my Liberators. Did I drop them? No, I may have placed them right on the board. I may not have put them in the mortal realm, the celestial realm either, because I put them right in the objectives 1, 2, and 3. So I got 8 points first turn, and then he just murdered those Retributors. Just murdered them all right off the board. And there was no more objectives there. He was fun because you could lure him into charges. So everything moved off of the last objective on his side of the board into murder the rest of the Retributors and my prosecutors that were down and my Lord Celestin. So he moved everything off that other objective. And in my turn, I dropped a Lord Relictor onto that objective and I burned it. So I got more there. And I chafed them up in the middle of the board with the prosecutors and another Relictor, and they were just throwing mortal wounds around, trying to soften up the Stonehorns, which isn't very effective. But whatever. At that point, I was like, I'm gonna get tabled, but I'm gonna burn all these objectives and get more points than he can even come back against. So that's what I did. I chafed them up. He tabled me. It was 17-3. What was he gonna do about it? Nothing.
Yep.
Nothing he could do about it. I won 17-3 off the board.
Yeah. All right.
Fun,
so
I think it's fun getting tabled and still like major winning.
Yeah, that's one of the interesting things about AOS is that you can get tabled and still win.
Yep. I got a great sense of satisfaction, like I chalked one up on my my dream board or whatever.
All right, so you have anything else for us on this list before we move on?
Oh, no, we can move on. Sorry, we talked about it, expounded upon it quite a bit.
Yeah. You know what we need to do, though?
Hammer time?
Dance break. Need a dance break. Just fucking mesmerizing.
Yeah, I'm thinking vodka break. Getting hammered on hammer time.
Dude, I made myself a double G&T and it's already gone.
Yeah.
And I took a shot of gin before that. So I am well lubricated right now.
I just murdered a gallon of vodka. Not the whole thing.
So it's hammer time. We're listening to MC Hammer, talking about the Hammerstrike force, and listening to MC Hammer and watching MC Hammer dance. That is where it's at right now.
Best Tuesday night ever.
Yeah, that's what's up on Tuesday nights. I just realized that, like, apparently, like, I thought my wife was, like, gonna, like, come back downstairs after, like, putting the kid to bed, and she's just, like, must have just bed. She just, like, disappeared. Yeah. Anyway, so here is one of the lists that I cooked up. So this is a one-drop version of the Hammerstrike Force list, working with the Celestial Vindicator's Warrior Chamber. So here's the downsides to this. Number one, you have to take 3 units of Paladins instead of 2. Number 2, the Celestial Vindicator's Warrior Chamber doesn't do shit. It just, you're paying 240 points to just one drop. So I don't know how good this actually is. But I was able to squeeze in a Stellistant and a Castellan and then, 880 points of Retributors. So I'm basically thinking with this, like, you just build it around the idea of alpha striking. You just run your prosecutors as far up the board as you can. You run your Celestant and your Castellant as far up the board as you can. And you just try and mortal wound your opponent off the board with as many Retributors as you can on turn one. I'm really not sure how well this actually works. I'm actually pretty disappointed in the Warrior Chamber.
The Celestial Vindicator.
Yeah. Let me actually pull out my book here and see if I am sober enough to actually read this thing right now. Because, it does something, obviously, but it doesn't do anything that exciting.
I thought it did. That's what I'm looking for right now, because I think it is pretty good. Yeah. So, Vows of Vengeance. If any model from a unit of Celestial Vindicators is slain, that unit can reroll failed hit rolls of 1 until the end of the turn. If the unit is armed with Warblades, Grand Blades, Storm Gladi, Stormstrike Glaives, or Storm Sabers, it can reroll all hit rolls for these weapons until the end of the turn. That is pretty ridiculous unless you're taking hammers, and then you're sad.
Yeah, it's like you get extra bonuses if you're taking shitty weapons.
Yeah, it's Decimators are still terrible, but it might be that might be a call for the Protectors.
Yeah, I've heard some decent arguments for Protectors.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think the strongest argument for Protectors is that weapon loadout looks really sweet on the models.
that is great.
Like the rule of cool is like the best part of the Protectors.
Protecting the rest of your army. I need to look at the War Scroll. I'm almost wondering if it stacks. I wonder if you can layer those 2 units of Paladins you have to take for a -2 to the rest of your army. So if you
might be able to.
You might be able to. So here's something you could do is you could take and I'm forgetting the name of them. The longbow is there. You could take them.
The long strikes?
The long strikes. And be like basically invulnerable in a way due to the Protectors. And even then you could take the everything is just escaping my mind. You could take the Vanguard Host boss, whatever his name is, and he can grab that unit and protect it and come back the next hero phase in another part of the board.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He could move those long strikes around to where you need it behind those lines of Protectors. Could be a nice way to put somebody's army apart by not only move blocking them, but now you're nuking them on different parts of the board.
Yeah. I really, really like long strikes, and I just have not been able to fit them into a list yet.
Yeah. You'd have to take this. You'd have to cut out a lot of stuff to like do that trick. That could be fun. The Lord Aquiller, it comes to me as I don't need it any longer.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not sure what else to really say about this. I feel like the Castellant might almost be a mistake just because, I don't know. I feel like there might be a better use of that 100 points. Or even drop the Castellant and run Judicators instead of one of the units of Liberators.
Yeah.
Oh, and in just the math of this, I had extra points, so one of the units of Liberators is a unit of Judicators.
I would always take units of Judicators because then they can at least back up what's going on with the Retributors if need be. You can add their damage to whatever they're going after if you don't have the proper buffs on those Retributors through whatever you're trying to kill.
Yeah. I'm not really sure I have much more to say about this particular list. This one was a little bit of a disappointment, but I really like the next one. But you know what? We got to break it down for a little dance break. Yep, that's right.
There he goes.
You know, this really, really makes me want to convert my entire army to be like parachute pants.
Now you could do it.
Stormcast.
A little bit of green stuff, it'd be easy.
I mean, it would be a lot of green stuff. I mean, that would be harder than pantaloons.
You could have Vanguard Hunters as the backup dancers. It'd be great.
Yes. I would just like to point out in this particular clip, like, how little effort are these backup dancers putting in?
They are the highest paid ones in the industry at that point for doing nothing.
I'm sure.
They can't upstage
You
them.
know, in putting this slideshow together, I was just like checking out other MC Hammer stuff just because, I don't know, I was just in that sort of frame of mind, and I like looked up the Too Legit to Quit video, and then like that is just 15 minutes of bullshit. Like, that is just insanity.
I love that video. Very fun.
It is. Like, I love that it has like so many like celebrity cameos.
Yep.
Like fucking Henry Winkler's in that video. Like, why is Henry Winkler in that video?
I'll have to revisit that one. It's very fun.
Anyway, all right. So the last list, the bubble buff. Hopefully, some people out there understand the bubble buff reference.
You're referencing the MOD
bubble buff.
Yep.
So
bubble buff. I won't sing the rest of it. Very nice.
Yeah. So doubling up on the +1 to hit with a Hurricanum and the Lord Celestin, Staunch Defender, Mirror Shield, and then just min everything else. 2 units of 10 Retributors, Prosecutors with Javelins, 3 units of Liberators. The ridiculous thing with this is, like, if you get your Retributors inside the double bubble, they get +2 to hit, so they're doing 2 mortal wounds on 4s.
Yeah. It's too bad that you don't have enough points to take 3 units of Judicators to also try and pop into that bubble.
Yeah. That is definitely a disappointment. That's the 2,500 list. That's what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is just like nonsense.
Yep.
But all things considered, like, I feel like this list would actually be really like a total dick move.
I think this could be a really, really good list. Yeah, it looks murderous.
Yeah, because you use your Hurricanum turn 1 to throw a Mystic Shield on your Prosecutors, move them up as far as you can, drop your Retributors, move your Hurricanum and your Celestin up as far as you can, get those 2 units of 10 Retributors in both bubbles, and you'll probably have, like, I don't know, 16 Retributors in close combat with your opponent turn 1.
Yep.
And with this particular math, it's actually better to not even run Star Soul Maces. It's just better to straight run all hammers.
Yeah, that's what I found too. Just thinking about it, I didn't run any math. I just thought about it. I'm averse to the math. I'm very Han Solo in my methods. Never tell me the odds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it seems like I know I felt like it seemed like an insane amount of mortal wounds to dish out. Nagash would have been dead with this list, I think.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, there's just so many different ways to run this list, or any of the lists like this. But like this and Vanguard Wing are just like the most absurdly abusive things that you can do with Stormcast, I think.
I agree. So what do you think about the Celestial Hurricanum? How fast is it?
It moves 10.
How many wounds until it starts losing its efficacy?
It starts losing inches at like 3 wounds, I want to say, but it's gonna 4-up save.
That's not bad until it gets an arcane bolt thrown at it. So I guess that could be the strength and the weakness of this list, right?
Yeah, but the bubble doesn't shrink that much that fast. Like the first notch down is still like 8 inches.
That's still not bad. So you can actually, by then you've moved it far enough where you're in the bubble. You can still arcane bolt or mystic shield with it. And you're close enough that even if you do get hit again for the, even if you get dropped to another wound level, you can just inch it up till you're closer to the prosecutors. I'm sorry, the retributors.
Yeah, I'm just double checking the Celestial Hurricane scroll for what the actual damage table looks like. First 2 wounds are free. Then after that, it drops to 8 inches. 2 more wounds drops it to 6 inches. But like the Lord Celestine's only 9 inches, so,
yeah, so it's gonna
if it dropped to 8, it's not a big deal.
Very cool. So in 40K, the Death Guard Mortarion takes 8 wounds before he loses any of his efficiency.
Yeah,
crazy. Like I love how they reflect that. I hope, but I haven't really looked into Nurgle too much. I hope Nurgle's the same way. I hope it takes several wounds before it starts going to a different wound chart.
Yeah. The other thing to always remember about the Hurricanum too is, number one, it's a wizard.
Yeah.
So it can unbind. Its spell is actually pretty good at dealing out mortal wounds. And then it has its shooting attack that has an 18-inch range and just does free mortal wounds.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Not it's used against me. I don't know that, but
yeah. Yeah, how many mortal wounds have I done to you with a Celestial Hurricanum? Have we tell you this?
Hate that thing.
Yeah. You know what's stupid is that at 380 points, still totally worth it.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I was originally skeptical, but now I'm like, no, 380, still worth it.
Yep. No, it's got really a ton of utility. It's hard to kill.
It's a wizard. It has a good spell. It has a shooting attack. It buffs everything, and it buffs casters.
Yep.
It does all the things you wanted it to do.
And it's got 16 wounds, you said, 4+ save. It's not bad at all.
11 wounds, not 16.
11 wounds, okay.
Yeah. So, and it has the hero keyword too, because it has that wizard riding on it. So it can, grab objectives in the scenarios that require a hero.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. That's one of those things that, pre-General's Handbook 2017, I was abusing the shit out of the Celestial Hurricanum because it was just good on every level, and it was only 320 points.
Yeah. Oh, it was less points too? Oh, boy.
Yeah, it went up 60 with GHB 2017.
Yeah,
it's still worth it.
It's tough to face, yeah. It's tough to face.
So, all right. Last little bit of MC Hammer. That's all I got for the slideshow. All right, so let me unlock from myself and the Jesus Christ.
I love it. Very Tron.
All right, so we're back to being like regular humans again. So, overall thoughts on Hammerstrike?
It's pretty good. I think it hits the Alpha Strike's pretty good. I think Vandus could just make it crazy. Just makes it ridiculous with his aura. And a Lord Celestine, if he's already on the board in the hero phase, would make it even better.
Yeah. I definitely agree. Do you think this is better, or do you think Vanguard Wing is better?
I think Vanguard Wing is better because you can once the Retributors are down, they're down. They do massive amounts of damage. You can buff them up to do just insane, unfair amounts of damage. But I like the control of the Vanguard Wing because you can control, my Liberators on the left-hand side of the board. I've got 4 units of Prosecutors flying around. I can be anywhere on the board I want with that huge, chunk of 30. That's pretty powerful. Of course, you leave your buffing units behind. I guess that's the trouble. The 30 is not going to stretch across the board.
Yeah, you have to leave that tail back to connect to your dudes, giving your guys all the buffs.
The other handicap was that all my points were in the Retributors with the Hammerstrike list. The Retributors did all right. They held objectives, and I would deploy them in such a way that I was trying to avoid being charged by putting them far back, but keeping them within 3 inches of every objective, which seemed to deny a couple of charges in each game. Just a little tactic that worked for me.
Interesting.
The main thing they do is you put them wherever you want and you stop that movement. You know what I mean? You could if it's not a flying creature, you can have them going all the way across the board, half the board, and stop any movement around them, which is huge, especially when there's multiple objectives to be grabbed. So that, I think, over the Alpha Strike is the most powerful thing, controlling the movement.
Yeah. So it sounds like the strategy for actually running this list is not to be a crazy Alpha Strike list, but to really
control the flow of the game.
Control the flow of the game, really be surgically striking with them. Keep those Prosecutors in the Celestial Realm at the start of the game and drop them where you need them.
And that's exactly how I came out as the winner on the other end. I controlled the flow of the game every game.
Yeah.
Even when I was getting tabled, I controlled the flow of the game. Which is crazy. Just crazy, but that's how I did it. I controlled the flow of the game. I was able to lure him a little bit, but I controlled where I was on the board and where he wanted to go to, and still kept all the objectives and burned the ones that I needed in Scorched Earth.
Right. Yeah. I think in that last tournament, what really hurt me was that game 2 was knife to the heart, and I was playing against Beast Claw.
Mm-hmm.
And all my heroes were slow as fuck. And I was like, I am going to try and just alpha block this and zone off these objectives. And my Liberators are really tough, so I can just pull them out from where I don't need to worry about them and reorganize them later and get my guys on objectives and get ahead early and wear them down. And I just completely brain farted on the fact that they do all kinds of mortal wounds on the charge.
They had a battalion that deals extra mortal wounds every time they charge, which was crazy.
Yeah. Let's also talk about how crazy cheap that list was. It was basically 2 start collecting boxes and an extra Thunder Tusk.
Yeah, wasn't it 4 units of Mournfang and 3 big beasties and 1 random hunter that didn't do anything and sat there and threw spears you couldn't hit with?
Yeah.
I remember him throwing lots of shooting and being like, I don't care if you miss.
Yeah. And the start collecting boxes, 4 of the why am I suddenly losing the name of this? Yeah, 4 Mournfang and a beast and a hunter.
Oh yeah, so that was it was 3 start collecting, and yeah, that's pretty good.
No, it was 2 start collecting boxes and 1 more monster.
Yeah,
that was a $200 list.
pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure with the how much my list came out to, but I built it pretty much out of everything I owned, and I think I picked up a start collecting box and a few like sprues of bits, and that was my list done.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think going forward? When are you going to run with Stormcast going forward? Are you going to stick with this list for now, or are you going to change things up? Are you going to run a different battalion?
Honestly, I'm ready to like crack open the Vanguard chamber.
Yeah.
I think they have a lot of tricks to offer that will be more of my play style, where I can be anywhere I want to be and focus fire on one thing that I want dead and have it die. I don't know. I think there's tricks in there that I want to unlock.
Yeah. It seems like that's like, because there are so many really good things you can do with Stormcast right now, it feels like nobody's really touched the Vanguard chamber other than realizing that like the long strike bows are really, really good. They're basically just cannons.
And I think that's fun. You do need the damage, but I think that's what a lot of players open up their books and they're like, look at all the damage that does, look at all the damage that does, look at all and it's not about damage. And I think I kind of proved that with a negative differential at the tournament. It's who controls the flow of the game.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's the big advantage really with the Vanguard wing too, is that like not only is it like Alpha Strike, it's controlling the flow. Like it's like I one drop my list, I teleport all of your units into close combat on turn one, and unless you can do mortal wounds to me, my guys are virtually invincible. So you must retreat out of combat. And if you retreat out of combat, it just lets me focus fire more on the stuff that's still in combat.
I'm going to get you with the Squig Hopper list.
Gonna poison me with all those squig guts.
I'm not going to get anybody with that. It would be fun. It would be fun to show up to a tournament with an all squig list, maybe a few night goblins. It'd be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to deny the level of awesome of that. Like, I'm beginning to really like differentiate in my head. Like, there's competitive Age of Sigmar and there's more casual Age of Sigmar.
And that's what I love about like playing the you showing up to a tournament. We are here to bring hard ass lists and kick ass. The next week, it's Neo time. We're all gonna have fun. We're gonna roll dice. Crazy shit's gonna happen, and it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Stormcast list, all squig list.
Yeah. I think it's like I have this natural tendency to be drawn towards the really like spiky, hard, gamey lists.
Yep.
But I think my next army after Stormcast has to be something just like stupid and fun. Like, not that like my Bloodbound are not fun. Like, there is absolute joy in every time something dies, I get an advantage.
Yep.
Like that is just stupid fun. They just are crazy shirtless maniacs killing things. And like, that's awesome. I haven't even looked at the War Scroll yet out of Shadespire for the Bloodbound.
Absolute crap.
Really?
Well, it's only 60 points, so I guess it's all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you have to put it like on scale. Like, is it absolute crap or is it absolute crap for 60 points? Is it a good deal for 60 points? Because you can jam 60 points at a lot of places in Bloodbound.
How many points is a unit of Reavers? 60?
70.
70? I don't know. I think I'd rather the Reavers, but maybe I need to read it again. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems like they are really like in the Shadespire game. They seem pretty powerful. But when I looked at the AOS War Scrolls, I wasn't getting that feeling at all. I guess getting a very toned down feeling from that.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what the other Shadespire releases are going to do for whatever other forces that they're releasing for, like the Death Rattle guys, the Orcs.
Yep. I can't wait for it. I mean, we're gonna get Fire Slayer, Skaven, lots of good stuff.
Yeah, I'm very curious about Shadespire. I haven't really like been persuaded to go pick it up yet.
I've been doing my homework, watching the videos, I've seen all the reviews. I haven't seen anybody be like, it's all right. Everybody has been like, all right, I can't wait to wake up tomorrow and play Shadespire again.
Yeah,
That seems to be the feeling. Like, I can't wait to play it again. Everybody seems to be loving it. It's got an 8.7 right now on Board Game Geek, which is pretty good.
With how many reviews, though?
A lot, a pretty good amount. It's not like just 3 reviews. I think it was like 100, but I don't quote me on that. I just looked at it quick.
Right.
I know they've been really marketing it. It's on YouTube a lot. Watch It Played has videos on it, and it seems like he's really enjoying playing it. I don't know. I'm hoping it's going to be really good because it seems fun.
Yeah,
mine just came in today. I'm pretty excited about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's only what, like $65 or something like that.
Yeah, it's $60.
Yeah, and it comes with the 2 warbands.
Yep. Just let's see, 8 models, considering GW prices. It's about right. They're very, very nice and detailed. Can I show them real quick? They're within arm's reach. I built Severin today. I was actually filming a little video on how to build them for anybody that's never built models. I'll post some.
Yeah, they look like they are like what I've seen in like one of the quick videos that I've seen. Like they are like 3-piece snap together models.
Yeah, I snapped it together. I used no glue and it went right together.
Yeah,
and the bases are just crazy, just gorgeous on these.
Yeah, the base detail is outrageous.
Yeah, so I'm happy just to get the models. I think the game's going to be great. I've watched several instances of it played. I'm excited about it.
And people are already doing like really sweet conversions on those models too.
Yeah, the Dunk. Everybody knows the Dunk. He's already doing converted them to have all blades like his warband is. Relian is doing videos already. He went out and bought a bunch of equipment so he could do Shadespire videos. That's how excited he is about it.
Nice.
I don't know. I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And we can use AOS, which is awesome.
Yeah. If it does good things to fuel more players into AOS, I'm all about it.
Yep. I'll teach you how to play, Paul. We'll play.
Yeah. Definitely gets the game done.
It appeals to like the board gamers. It appeals to the ex-Magic players like you and I, and the tabletop gamers like you and I. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. Yep. So any final closing thoughts on the Hammerstrike?
No, I think we talked about everything. I think we covered it all. It was mostly deployment shenanigans that pulled it off.
Yeah.
If it was fixed, I'm not sure how things would go. If they said you have to deploy outside of 3 inches or 9 inches or whatever, I'm not sure. Like the Alpha block, as you said, at least against the Beast Claw, doesn't work.
Yeah. Not having any protection against mortal wounds leaves you really super naked.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see if that gets a fix in the future, if it stays the way it is.
Yeah. I'm hesitant to say that they'll give it an FAQ because I feel like they want Stormcast to be really good, and I haven't seen them actually nerf anything Stormcast yet that's really significant. Like they nerfed the Knight Vexillor, when they redid his scroll.
Right.
Just replaced it with like other stuff that did the same crap.
Yep.
It's like they nerfed the Vexillor, like mainly because it did mortal wounds when the guys came in.
Yep. They give him a second ability to do the mortal wounds. Yeah.
Yeah. He's another guy that's actually like, I feel like a Vexillor and a Heralder in a list that is cavalry heavy, like run like 2 Vexillors, 2 Heralders, could actually make a cavalry list work.
A Heralder, yeah, with their ability and their the trumpet blast or whatever it's called. I mean, stacked trumpet blasts. That's not nice, especially if they have hordes around, which I saw in every game. If they have hordes around pieces of terrain that you can get to, I mean, if you take 4 Heralders, that's 43 mortal wounds. It's going to thin out those hordes pretty fast and kill heroes.
Yeah. Yep. And it is going to just say goodnight, Sylvaneth. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I get a little happy thought when I think about facing Sylvaneth with a Heralder.
Yeah. I feel like it's like reasons like that are going to just make that, and the fact that so many TOs want to make their boards really terrain heavy. I think makes Sylvaneth really hard to play in a competitive environment.
Even with the terrain too, they are tough to play against too. All the wildwoods.
Yeah. And just the barrier to entry of having to get all of those wildwoods, even if you construct your own.
Yep.
That's really like that stops people in their tracks from playing that army competitively.
Yep, I think you're right.
Like, yeah, I have to go crack open 12 terrain packs to actually play my army the way I want to. Non-starter.
Yeah, whereas Stormcaster really, and the Beast Claw, super easy to start. You know, I keep thinking about Bone Splitters, but oh my god, without a start collecting, they are scary to think about being a full army for.
But the flip side is how many of those models are just floating around on eBay because they're just like homeless now.
Yeah, people started it, decided they couldn't follow through. Yeah, good point.
Or just old Orcs and Goblins players that are like, my army's been shattered. I'm just throwing it on eBay.
That's where I got all my squigs from.
Yeah. There's certain armies that have just gotten like no love in AOS.
Yep.
It's like the one that surprises me to a certain extent is that they have just shit all over High Elves. When High Elves were like one of the most popular armies for so long. And now they're just dog shit.
I hate elves, but I think we're going to see a golden era for the elves. I think we'll see dark elves and whatever elves they come out with for I think high elves are pretty much dead. They're going to rejuvenate them in a different way, though. They're going in a different direction. I think it's going to be a big time release, just like Death.
Yep. So here's a question while we're just sort of on the subject of elves, so because it just kind of goes. The list with the 2 Frost Phoenixes that took the Warhammer World GT.
It's so funny.
Is that a fluke or is that a real list?
How do you fluke it? It's 6 games, right? It's 6 games. Even 5 games. How do you fluke yourself through that many games? What are the odds on that? Go ahead, math it out.
I will tell you, mathing it out, that with 86 players, 6 rounds was not enough. It should have been 7. Like that alone, and that there was no cut to top 8 with that many players, says fluke to me.
I don't know. It's weird. I mean, I look at that list, and I've only glanced at it a few times, and I think Could smash that list, 5 different ways. But
yeah, it's like I feel like any Alpha Strike list that can outdrop it just wins.
Yep.
Like outright wins the game. Like if you take like a 3-drop murder host list, like that list loses.
But I think he beat Murder Host.
Which only really makes me wonder then, like if he's beating lists like Murder Host.
He's got to be the best general ever.
He was either a really good general or that tournament was surprisingly soft.
Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, did you watch the analysis that Warhammer TV did of the top 3 lists?
I did, yeah. I did.
Yeah.
It was really weird. Murder Host came in second, didn't it?
Third.
Third.
And second was Iron Jaws.
Yeah.
And Iron Jaws, Murder Host in 2 and 3, total sense. Totally agree with that.
It still freaks. I'm wearing an Iron Jaws shirt right now, but it still freaks me out that like people are doing that well with Iron Jaws. Actually, I won a tournament with Iron Jaws, but anyway, regardless, it still is like crazy to me that people are doing so well with Iron Jaws. I love it, but I was always it always like sort of freaked me out a little bit that I couldn't get to people's heroes if they didn't want me to, and that is like the crux of what people's army work on is those buff auras against heroes, and it just. I bought 2 Rock Lava, so maybe that'll fix my Iron Jaws for how I play them. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that number 1 list is just
like it's cute combos. I like it, but it's like infinity drops.
Yep.
So it's never going first.
Yeah, I mean it's got the Wanderers element to it, but I have no idea how it won.
Yeah, I mean, I genuinely feel like looking at that list, I'm like, if you ran up against a good Vanguard wing list that was a single drop list, like, good night.
Yep.
They understood what your list did. Forget it. Like, you're done.
Yep. Yes, I don't know. I think it's cool because I think we're all like, what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah, it made everybody like step back and say, wait, what the fuck just happened? Like, did that really just win? And like on the surface, until you like dig down into the war scrolls and see what the combos were, you're like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that was like part of what was his success with that list was just like nobody got it. Like nobody like looked at like he handed his list to his opponent and they were like, the fuck is this?
Yep.
And just kind of disregarded it. Like
I used to love in 40K doing that. I'd show up to tournaments, people were like, and this is like in 5th edition, I'd be like, flash kits? People take flash kits? Weird boy, what are you doing? And I used to win tournaments with it. But maybe it's one of those weird things. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was pulling with for a long time with free people. Like it was like nobody understood what a Lord on a Pegasus could do to them, and then it would do like 17 damage in 1 turn.
Yep,
and then it would be like, oh, that's what that does.
Not good, not nice.
Yeah,
not impossible to kill.
Yep. All right, man. Well, I think we've done this thing to death. It is well past my bedtime. Any final words for the audience?
That's it. Have a good night, everybody.
All right, y'all. We will talk to y'all later. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Go follow Mr. Dakka Dez on YouTube for his very infrequent videos that pop up. But you can go see a true Warhammer hoarding problem in his most recent video.
Yes, indeed.
All right, man. I will talk to you later. Everybody have a great night. Happy gaming.
Good night.